Hello everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. It's Corey, and yeah, we all know Manchester United did beat West Ham United 1-0 in the FA Cup 5th round, and I can't really criticise the players. To be fair, I think maybe there's a sloppiness in possession and ball retention, but for me that's an incredibly harsh critique of them. I thought they gave absolutely everything that they had. They worked incredibly hard. This is a side that played 3 games in the last week and comes into a fixture against a Manchester United side who are able to bring in players and keep the same system and the same way that they play. And West Ham had to adapt the way we play multiple times tonight. Obviously, we suffered injuries with Angelo, Ogbonna and Andriy, Yarmolenko, and I'll touch a little bit on how that might affect us in the Sheffield United game. But I thought generally, first half, it was a tentative affair. I think West Ham was sitting very, very deep. I thought Bowen and Fornals, credit to them, I thought their defensive work rate was fantastic. I think we managed to nullify them. We know that Anthony Martial gave Dawson a few issues, particularly with his movement in behind, and West Ham were let off the hook a little bit. A fantastic save from Lucas Fabianski. I think it was a Lindelof header that flicked off a Craig Dawson. So he kept us in the game from that aspect. But we were trying to get forward, but we were tentative and we didn't want to. And Manchester United were putting on such an offensive press. They were pushing Matic as well into our third, advancing the fullbacks. And it made it difficult for West Ham to get out. We knew exactly how we were going to play tonight against Manchester United. We knew exactly what we were going to come up against. And clearly David Moyes wanted to nullify that threat. But I thought it was interesting that when West Ham, or particularly Manchester United, did get the ball in their third, that we pressed. We pushed Declan Rice a little bit further forward. Souček was in a more advanced role than we've seen him previously in terms of open play and team shape. And I thought we tried to squeeze Man United and force them into errors. And in the second half, to be fair, there was an element of sloppiness about Manchester United that maybe if West Ham, with a bit more energy and the right subs that we could have brought on, then maybe we would have capitalised on. But if buts and maybe. Second half, obviously, there's the drastic change. Obviously, Yarmolenko goes off. Odubeko comes on. Does he really change the game? I wouldn't say so, but it wasn't particularly the type of game that you'd imagine Odubeko's going to really influence things. I thought he did as well as he could do. A few decent touches. He grew into the game. He was a little bit off the pace first 10, 15 minutes. But again, to make your debut for West Ham in an FA Cup fixture away from home, is a tough one in the side where you're up against it and you're not retaining the ball enough. And we brought Ben Johnson on, who I have to say I thought was absolutely fantastic tonight. To play on that left-hand side in that wing-back role, really composed in possession, was beating men, was willing to take men on. It was fantastic for him, and he retained the ball just at the right times. And I like watching Ben Johnson play. When he comes on, he puts in some sterling performances, and tonight definitely was one of them for me. And that left-hand side, we looked all right. Pablo Fornals, Ben Johnson putting in some serious shifts. I've got to say, Pablo Fornals, again, the work rate from him was absolutely tremendous. He was winning the ball in turnover. It's purely fatigue. We were playing Thomas Souček in an advanced role. He couldn't get him beyond. He couldn't stretch. You can't pin everything on a number 8 midfielder to break that line of Manchester United and run from deep. And you could see, particularly in extra time, Souček was absolutely shot. And he was never going to influence the game in an attacking sense. But credit to Moyes, actually, to be fair, I think a back 3 and those wing backs suited us, meant we could transition a lot more effectively. We gave Manchester United a few more problems. And we were able to nullify them, particularly in wide areas. But it was always going to come down to how many men could West Ham commit forward. And we couldn't afford to. I think you see from the goal in extra time, as we're going to explain, Declan loses it. And for me, Declan was fantastic tonight. Again, he was willing to take the ball, be composed and beat a man and try and beat Manchester United's press and force West Ham to get an opportunity in on goal. But I think the problem tonight was we couldn't get enough men in the box. Without a natural striker I say natural striker or a recognised striker in Mickey Antonio, we know what he offers in terms of his movement. The fatigue from Souček, we just couldn't afford to push men forward. And even though I guess we kind of wanted to do that with Mark Noble in that pivot role and Rice and Souček pushing higher, it was too much to ask. And we couldn't create anything clear. And it was inevitable that if we were going to get anything from the game, it was always going to come down to set pieces. And I thought maybe last minute, if it comes to Souček or Dawson had got a better connection on it, maybe we could have nicked a 1-0. But I think we're just looking in terms of a goal of teams, one where they can bring on Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams, Cavani, Bruno Fernandes, and another that's, brought on Odubeko, an unexperienced striker, and then obviously brought on Ben Rama. And to be fair, I thought Ben Rama had a decent game. It's really hard for me to really pick out anyone and say he had a poor game, maybe a few lapses in concentration, but I feel like it's just down to fatigue. I don't want to completely pin it on it, but they've been absolutely stretched to the limit. We knew this was going to happen. This is why it's so frustrating. Probably the second game in February, and we're starting to pick up major injuries. And Yarmolenko is a huge injury from the aspect that he seemed to be our first choice number 9, or our first choice false 9 anyway. Losing him is going to change the way West Ham play. You're going to see Lingard probably play in that position. It's clear to me that Moyes doesn't trust Odubeko for whatever reason. I thought it was massively unfair on him to pull him off 10 minutes before the end. I just thought it was unnecessary. I don't know, if you're chasing an equaliser, why would you bring off a striker that's willing to make the runs in the box? It was just because United defensively were solid. And again, West Ham didn't commit enough men forward to really test them too much because we just couldn't afford and the energy wasn't there. So to pull him off with 10 minutes to go was, I don't know what he was, whether it was point scoring or I just don't understand the decision. And I hope that Odubeke's confidence isn't affected by this, because it could have been a good chance tonight for him to have a couple of minutes in there, play the rest of the game, and him coming to possibly a Sheffield United game, even off the bench, because we are going to have to rely on him. We cannot rely on Mikel Antonio, clearly. Yarmolenko's out. There are massive problems in the striking department. Angelo Ogbonna is a massive miss. And to be fair, Issa Diop as well, picking up that, I think it was that concussion injury. I'm not going to say let's hope it is, but let's hope it's not a long-term thing with Diop, because he came in and he did very, very well as well. West Ham, very unlucky tonight in terms of injuries. We just didn't have that energy to go and get that result against Manchester United. I will say as well, before I wrap this one up, I thought Mark Noble was fantastic tonight. I've been one of his biggest critics when he's come into the side. How can you play? How can we move forward with the ball? I think that I'm happy to finally see that if you're going to play Mark Noble, you play him in a deep line midfield role. I thought his ball retention at times was very, very good. I thought his intelligence on the ball and his ability to keep it simple was exactly what we needed against that Manchester United press, as well as his interceptions in that first half and cutting out the play and allowing West Ham to squeeze. Fair play, Mark Noble, Mr. West Ham himself. Thank you. You put in a sterling performance, mate. But listen, we move on. I'm not going to be too negative. It's an FA Cup. It is what it is. We are going to struggle from squad depth. This is an inevitability, particularly of this season. Let me know in the comment section what you think about that performance, the Odubeko substitution, the injuries. As always, I'll read them all and try and reply to them all. Like the video as ever and subscribe to the West Ham Way if you're new. I think there'll be a fan's voice tomorrow. It's a bit late notice. If it's not, it's just me on my own. But we'll talk through these type of things. And then we'll have the usual Prem show on Thursday. And then, of course, naturally, you'll have your predicted 11 and tactical breakdowns out before the game on Monday, where hopefully some of them players have had a well-earned rest and we can get them back and fighting fit for Sheffield United, because they're fighting for their lives at the minute. And if West Ham aren't at it in that game, they'll smell blood and try and get a result. So I'll leave you all now. Take care, and I'll see you all shortly.